Revelation 13 tells us that the final Antichrist will eventually set himself up in the temple. He will demand to be worshiped, and he will seek to take the place of God. That's why he's called the Antichrist. We also know that when you have the mark of the beast, that will be the only way you will be allowed to buy or sell anything around the world anywhere. And so the only way that can be achieved is through a cashless society. Okay, folks, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is when we look at end times and the current day that we're living in to do two things. The first thing that you have to do is you have to know the Word of God. Listen, this is a non-negotiable. We are looking at the problem that exists now with people not knowing the Word of God. And when they don't know the Word of God, then they make assertions based on incomplete information. And then what they're actually talking about really doesn't mean anything because they don't know the end game. And if they don't know the end game, then they cannot put together the pieces necessary to understand what's really going on. So that's the first thing you have to do. The second thing you have to do, when you will know the Word of God, when you're fully aware of what God has to say about what's going to happen in these days, is you have to be able to take data points that come your way from different parts of the world, connect the dots, and be able to illustrate effectively what is actually happening. So let's talk about the Word of God for just 1 second. Revelation 13 tells us that the final Antichrist will eventually set himself up in the temple. He will demand to be worshiped, and he will seek to take the place of God. That's why he's called the Antichrist. He will then desire for people, no, not desire. Let me scratch that. He is going to require of people that they take his mark, and if they don't, he will, in essence, kill them. Now, people are going to stand in line, literally, they're going to stand in line to take this mark because we know that there is even an angel that warns everybody, don't do this, or you're done, and people are still going to want to go ahead and do it. Now, with all that said, we also know that when you have the mark of the beast, that will be the only way you will be allowed to buy or sell anything around the world anywhere. And so the only way that can be achieved is through a cashless society. So when I look at articles that tell me that cash is to become less usable, yes, that's the statement, literally the statement that the deputy governor of the Bank of England is actually saying. He says cash will become less usable as shoppers embrace the internet and high street stores increasingly reject banknotes. That's what he's basically saying. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Banknotes are going to be rejected. People are not going to be taking cash. And he goes on and on and on and on and on to talk about this. By the way, I do think it's important to quote a few of the things that he actually says. Let me read to you a portion of an article that I'm looking at that's literally on MSN.com of all places, right? And it says he added that it is therefore essential for Threadneedle Street to press ahead with developing an electronic version of sterling, the so-called digital pound, which can underpin future confidence in the financial system, which of course we know that that's what they're shooting for. But when you see the Bank of England talking about this, you already know that the concept has already gone mainstream. You already know that we are moving in that direction. We are going in the world of a cashless society. We're seeing it more and more. There are lots of places you go. Listen, in Southern California, half the places you go to now will not accept cash. They'll take Apple Pay, a credit card. There's some places that won't even take credit cards. It's getting to the point where they want you to move faster and faster and faster and faster towards digital currency, and we are going towards a government-controlled digital currency. Folks, that's the direction we're going in, and that is the infrastructure that's necessary to accomplish the end game that we know about in Revelation 13. The world is changing rapidly. We need to keep our eyes open, take a look at all of these data points because they all point us to one very important thing, and that is Jesus is coming soon. Now, I want to say this with that understanding, okay? And I know that I'm kind of going on and on, but I just want you to understand that also opens up the door for lots of demonic opposition. Demons do not want you to know that there is a spiritual war out there. Demons do not want you to know that they even exist. And the reality of it is they are seeking to get you to a place where you will not even consider the spiritual, so that you become the first casualty of the spiritual war. Pay attention to this, folks. As we get closer to the end, the warfare will increase, and if you do not engage in it, you will undoubtedly, understand this, undoubtedly you will become a casualty of it. It's very important that we recognize this. Understand how important it is. Stay close to the word. Keep your eyes open. Make sure you make those connections using the word of God as your foundation, and watch God begin to demonstrate to you incredible things because he never gets it wrong. God bless you guys.